Welcome to the Art of Living podcast. I'm Zafar Majid, and today's program is about the deception of time. How the time is deceiving us all. The time is passing by so rapidly that the years are going and passing like the months feel like they're passing like weeks, the weeks passing like days, and the day seems like it is over in just a few hours. But before we go any further, I would request that you kindly subscribe to our channel for more programs like this and to receive notifications. So we will inshallah now go into our program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is one of the topics that I have discussed with so many people. Every time you meet someone, they say, my God, time is flying by so quickly. It seems like, the week just passes so fast. We go to Friday prayers, and before we know it, we're back again in the mosque for the next Friday's prayers as well. So in between, it seems like it's a dream which just passes away so quickly. Obviously, when the weekend comes, that goes really fast. You're back at work on Monday, and from Monday to Friday, it just seems now to me that they just pass like a few hours. And that is one of the signs of the day of judgment, that towards the end of time, life will be passing by so quickly. And if you analyze your own lives, wherever you are, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or even beyond, you will see that it has gone so rapidly. I was talking to somebody who's 85 years old, and they said to me that it seemed like just a few years ago I was in school, and it seems like life has just passed away so quickly that it feels like a dream. And that is quite a scary thing to think about. The Quran talks about time in Surah Asr, how the man is in loss in relation to the passing away of time. So the surah starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Obviously, it describes the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also it highlights how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not restricted to time and space. Then Wal Asr, the different phases of the journey of man, how the man time is going to run out, and the man is doomed to failure if he does not follow the right path. Innal insana lafi khusr, in state of sins and heedlessness, a man is in loss. Illa allazina amanu, except those who have faith, who practice the articles of faith. Wa amilu salihat, practicing of good deeds in terms of observing your essential organs, your body, your heart and mind, and doing things in the correct manner according to the way the Quran and Sunnah has prescribed to us, and where we have to refrain from sins. What the wasaw bil haq, then also advising others of that truth and guiding them as well by giving dawah and tabligh. And finally, what the wasaw bis sabr, advising patience, practicing patience, being steadfast on this path. And it shows you that time is not on our side. This is a race against time, and time is passing away so quickly. And if we do not be careful, then we will be the losers, unless you are of the ones who practice good deeds, who are mindful of that every moment that you pass, to ensure that you are living in the divine presence, where you are following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the beloved messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But majority of us, unfortunately, are living a life of ignorance and heedlessness, where we are not mindful about how we observe time. We waste time, and we mostly waste it in doing evil, bad deeds, engrossed in sin. It was advised to us that we need to take advantage of 5 matters before 5 other matters. Number 1, your youth before you become old, your health before you fall sick, your richness before you become poor, and your free time before you become busy, and your life before your death. And every single person goes to three stages of life. A, when you're in your youth, you have good health, you have so much time on your hands, but you don't have money. Then in your middle ages, so where you have money, you still have good health, but you don't have time because you're busy building your business or your career. And finally, in your later stages, maybe in your old age, when you are closer to death, many people have the money, they have the time, but they do not have the health to be able to do the things that they want to do. So it shows you that life is a test. Time never remains the same. So maybe like I speak about myself when we were at university, at college, it seemed like we had all the time in the world, so much time that we used to actually get together with friends to, as they say, the expression, let's go and kill some time. But now, at this day and age, don't have the pleasure of having free time. There's always something happening. There's always things that we have to do. Time just passes by so rapidly, and it seems at times we are chasing our tail. And if we are not careful, we will die in that state, running around like a headless chicken, trying to achieve things and chase things. And before we know it, we could be down under, 6 foot down under in the grave. So the lesson for myself and yourself is that we are conscious of how we spend our time, and how deception of time is something that we need to wake up to, because many people do not realize that how much little time they actually have on this earth. Let's give you a practical example that I'm going to show you now, that how even a short life of 65 years, how much of that time is spent in doing certain activities, and you will realize that how much short lifespan we actually do have. So what I have here is a pie chart which details how we spend an average life of 65 years. And many people, even if they're younger in their 20s and 30s, and they think that even if the average life is 65, they still have a long time yet to live. Although death can come at any time, because it is inevitable, and people die at a young age as well. But let's put that aside for a moment and analyze the typical life of a 65-year-old, how it is actually spent. 13 years of a 65-year person's life is spent in childhood. 15 years are spent in work or education of some sort. 22 years are spent in bed, sleeping. If you have 8 hours of sleep a day, and many have less or even more, but on average, 22 years are split. Actually, you can see the diagram now on the screen. I'm showing you this diagram that 22 years is spent in bed. 2 years spent in the bathroom. And again, some people probably more, some less. A year is spent in anxiety, and maybe 1 year is spent doing nothing, which many of us have those periods and phases in our lives. An actual living, where you could say that this is my time, where I will do the things which I enjoy outside of work, outside of education, outside of sleep. It's actually 6 years. So a 65-year-old person who dies at the age of 65 will have actually about 6 years of pure social time of their own. The rest is spent in education, sleep, bathroom, in childhood. So that highlights to you and me that how little time we actually have on this earth. But rather than me giving you pie charts and breaking it down for you, look at the reality. Look at how old you are and how quickly you've got here and how much time you've got left. Let's do another practical example. Let's say you're 40 years old and let's say you're 50 years old, and even gone beyond the average age of 65 and you are going to live till you are 70. So you've got 20 years in between. So on average, 7 years of those or thereabouts will be spent in bed. 7 years of those will be either in work or some sort of vocation. 7 years of that is your own social time where you'll be doing these appointments, bathroom, visiting people, doing your errands, your domestic chores. So it shows you that the real essence of life where you are awake, there's only a short amount of time, and how quickly that will pass as well by looking at your daily activity, your daily and weekly sort of chart of how quickly time is passing by. And that will show you how we are being deceived into thinking that we have a long life here, we have a long time yet here to be on this earth, and yet we do not know. That's why it's very important to take stock of these precious moments in life, to make sure that we are living them properly in the divine presence, and we are living them fulfilling not only our own rights, but the rights of the creation, the rights of our Creator. So we have to ensure that we take stock of our life to ensure that we are living constantly in the divine presence, fulfilling not only our rights, but the rights of our Creator and the creation. So we are not violating also the rights of the creation and upsetting them as well. But most importantly, just make sure that you fully wake up to the fact that life is passing by so quickly, so we do not waste these precious moments in our life. Jazakallah for listening. May Allah bless you. Allah Hafiz.